It is that time of year again, and like many moms, I am sure that you are already wrapping your head around what Christmas gifts are going to look like for your kids this year. But I am here today to de-influence your kids' Christmas gift list this year. We're gonna be talking all about how to get the most bang for your buck with your Christmas shopping, how to avoid spending too much money on Christmas presents, teaching your kids to declutter, and so much more. This video is designed to help you save 4 things: your money, your time, space in your home, and your sanity. I am also excited to be working with KiwiCo on this video, and if you want to hear about an offer that they've got for viewers of my channel, then just keep on watching. First of all, we need to start with the elephant in the room. And by the elephant, I mean the many toys that are already in the room. We need to start by doing a declutter in November. Doing a declutter in November is something that I have always done. I highly recommend it, especially before you start thinking about what you're going to be adding to your space. This is the perfect time before any wish lists are created or shopping is done for kids to get a bird's eye view of what is already in your house, and also to take stock of what your kids are playing with versus what they aren't. There's no sense in buying a version of something that you already have, or buying more of a type of a toy that your kids don't really enjoy playing with. So before you bring more in, I highly recommend that you consider what can go out. One of my favorite things to do is actually to declutter with my kids, and I mentioned that I would talk a little bit about how to do that on my channel because often I'll get people saying, as soon as I mention giving a toy away, suddenly that toy becomes my kid's favorite toy. And so I think it starts with explaining the concept and the why behind we are getting rid of things to begin with. For my kids, I often try and phrase this as a way that we can actually be generous, and they specifically can be generous. Something that I've said to them is that when we have a toy or an item that we're not really playing with or using anymore, a really kind thing that we can do is donate that item, because somebody else might find that in a store and get really excited about it. And right now it's just sitting here not being used by anyone. Wouldn't it be better if someone could get really excited about using it? Biblically, I also try to explain to my kids that there is nothing in this life that we get to hang on to forever, and so it's great from a young age to understand the concept of passing things on, because it actually creates space in our homes, in our hearts, when we decide to be generous by sharing the things that we have with others. So start with the why, but another important piece of decluttering for kids is not making it overwhelming for them. If someone came into your home and gathered a bunch of your stuff together and presented it to you and said, hey, you don't seem to like this stuff, can I get rid of it? You'd probably be a little overwhelmed by that. I think it's much easier when you start with a small section of toys at a time, something like a singular toy basket, or even starting with one toy at a time and saying something like, I want you to look through this basket, or can we look through this basket together and see if there's anything that you're maybe not really loving playing with anymore. I'll often just hold up a toy and ask them, are you still enjoying playing with this? And a lot of the time they will surprise me and just say no. And an important thing is to not say their no for them by refusing to hold up an item because you think that they should hold on to it or will want to hold on to it, and to not get offended when they say that they're ready to pass something on that you as their parent think that they should keep. Another important piece of decluttering for kids is categorizing into 3 buckets that I use for myself when I'm decluttering as well. The buckets are simple. It is a pile for everything that you are going to keep. It's a pile for everything that you are going to rehome, and yes, this also includes the things that you need to just rehome to the garbage bin, but primarily the things that are just out of place and need to go back to where they belong. And finally, the things that you can donate. You might start really small and find that at first there's not a whole lot that you're letting go of, but the more that you do this practice with your kids and involve them in it, get them excited about it, the more that they will get comfortable with actually letting go of the things that they're no longer using. Next thing that I would highly recommend is avoiding what is trending. Every single year, there are the lists that come out, there are the magazines that get delivered to your mailbox, and there are news articles that pop up about the hottest toys of the season for your kids. You can spot the toys that are going to end up in the thrift store in a matter of months from a mile away. Robots, things with batteries that light up in 1,000 different colors. Any of those weird toys that come inside of an egg. I've also heard of toys called Nanimals, Huggalumps, and whatever the heck these things are. I would just advise you to avoid what you know has made it onto these top trending lists, because they are trends for a reason. They will come and they will go. They're not necessarily the time tested and kid approved toys that kids have been loving and playing with for years. What are the toys that we know that kids have loved for decades? Things like Lego, things like magnet tiles, pretend animals, or honestly any of the other toys in your home that you've seen your kids play with again and again. Think in that vein instead of thinking about trying to check your list off using those guides that tell you about what's trending. On this note, the next thing that I will mention is to go deeper with the toys that you buy instead instead of wider. This is something that I shared about on YouTube last year and the approach that I used to purchase our kids Christmas gifts from 2024. And I love that this is being talked about on a greater scale right now, because I think people are just getting fed up of adding to the toys in their house and seeing their kids kind of further dilute their play. If there is a type of toy that you know your children already love, go deeper into that method of play instead of purchasing something outside of that toy that you now also need to find a home for, spend more money on to get all the different accessories and things that go with it, and also maybe interrupt a way of play that your kid was already enjoying. For example, something that my daughter has been playing with consistently year over year now for 4 years is baby dolls. That's why last year, instead of just going rogue and deciding to purchase something like Barbies, that would be an example of going wider in the toys that I bring into my house for her. I decided to go deeper into baby doll play and got her kind of the nicest baby doll that I could find to be her big Christmas gift last year. I'm not just taking her love for dolls and painting that across every type of doll, because then I would end up with Barbies, we'd have calico critters, we'd have Polly Pockets, and whatever else, you name it, is on the market. So choose one avenue that you know that your kids love and go deeper into that avenue to expand that world of play instead of just broadening the play in general. My next piece of advice is to consider purchasing Christmas gifts for your kids that are consumables. And I don't necessarily mean edibles. Well, I definitely don't mean that, but things that you use once or you use a few times and you're actually using them up, as opposed to adding more things into your home that you need to store. Think things like craft supplies, markers, Play-Doh, watercolors, and paints for my daughter, who really enjoys doing that. This could also be a great time to add things to your home like kinetic sand or beading kits or some sort of paint by numbers activity for your kids, something that you can do together that you know they will end up using. One of the things that fits into this category that we love in our home are KiwiCo's koala crates. If you've never heard of KiwiCo before, they are all about helping to build the next generation of change makers and innovators, and they do this by resourcing kids with hands-on activities and toys that actually help them to make things, to discover things, to challenge themselves, and to turn their curiosity into confidence when they can actually figure it out. As I mentioned, my 4-year-old receives their koala crate, which is designed for children between the ages of 3 to 6, and it helps your child feel like a little scientist that is figuring out more about the world around them through pretend play. I am not even kidding when I tell you that the treasure hunt crate that she received from the koala crate line recently, she absolutely lost her mind over. It came at the perfect time because she's been very interested in maps recently and cartography, and X marks the spot. And so with this treasure hunt themed crate, she was able to actually build herself a treasure box. It was actually lockable on the front, and it also came with little coins that you could emboss and put inside of the chest. We had so much fun putting this in the backyard, doing a little treasure hunt together and using the map to figure out where it could be. And this is what KiwiCo crates are all about. It is hands-on discovery that makes learning actually fun. Your kids will build different STEM skills over time in things like robotics, engineering, different art techniques. And as a homeschool parent, sometimes it is just so nice to open up the crate and know that everything is ready to go. I don't need to do any research, any printing for this lesson. I can actually just help to facilitate it alongside my child, who feels very confident to follow all of the different steps. So for me, all of the legwork is already done by KiwiCo, and I just get to sit down and focus on having quality connection with my daughter. One of KiwiCo's other lines of toys is their Panda Crate for kids that are 0 to 36 months, which is what our 2-year-old and our 18-month-old currently play with. And these crates are full of research-backed activities for babies and toddlers that engage all 5 senses. I would say that Panda Crate is a great place to start if you are a new parent just trying to figure out what toys in general to provide to your kids. You can trust in the fact that they are research-backed, kid-approved educational toys and that they are high quality. So for me as a new parent, it was really nice knowing that my kids were playing with what had already been researched and that they were going to be long-lasting, and I could actually hold on to those kids so that all of my babies could benefit from the investment of us getting Panda Crate for our first. KiwiCo makes it so easy for you as a parent. It will ship straight to your door, and it's also a great option to recommend to maybe a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle that is wondering what to get your kids. Even if they live far away, they can ship that crate straight to your door as well. And I really do believe that this holiday season, a gift from KiwiCo is a lot more meaningful than something that you can just order off of Amazon. You know that you are sending something that is going to help a baby make a new connection, or an opportunity for a mom and a toddler to sit down together and work on an activity that's going to create that aha moment where they figure something out together. So if you want to put something more meaningful under the tree, KiwiCo makes the perfect gift, and they do have a special offer for viewers of my channel. So if you want to give your kids the joy of creating this season, season, head to the link down in my description box. I will also put it up here for you and use the code BETH at checkout. That will give you 50% off your first monthly crate for a child over the age of 3. And if you are purchasing a panda crate for a child, so that's anyone between the ages of 0 to 36 months, that code and link will get you 20% off any of their panda crates. So again, the code is BETH for 50% off on a crate for children over the age of 3 and 20% off for a child under the age of 3. So thank you so much to KiwiCo for working with me on today's video. Next piece of advice that I would give you is to focus on only gifting things that actually encourage open-ended play. Open-ended play is any type of play or activity that doesn't have a fixed outcome. There's no rules, there's no right or wrong way to play. A kid can be given some sort of toy or material and figure out how they want to play with it in a way that they best see fit. The key here is that open-ended play really encourages things like imagination, creativity, and also problem-solving skills. There is so much research on the importance of this, even a study that came out from Harvard about the fact that this unstructured, imaginative type of play is critical for kids to develop executive functioning skills. Those are things like working memory, self-regulation. Don't we all want our children to develop that? Even things like flexibility when a change happens or a problem arises. All of those life skills are things that are going to predict how well they're going to do in things later in life, in their day-to-day, in their school, in their career. And so why would we not want to give our kids every opportunity to engage in this open-ended type of play? Examples of open-ended toys would be things like blocks, play food, or play kitchens. Things like peg people or play silks. Literally even sticks outside, or honestly, the box that your Amazon order came in. The opposite of open-ended play would be any type of play that has some sort of fixed outcome. So in this type of play, there is a right or wrong way to use something. Big example of this is single-use or battery-operated toys. Things that light up, press a button, make a sound when you do a certain thing to it, remote control cars, tablets, even things like puzzles or Lego kits that require you to build in one certain type of way and you can't use the pieces in another way. Those would all be examples of things that are not open-ended play. Are those things inherently bad? No. I think that there is space for them and that they can help children to work on things like focus or accuracy. They just don't necessarily promote creativity in the same way that open-ended play does. And I think a lot of the toys that would be considered on those trending lists do kind of fall into that category of fixed play. And so when a child kind of feels like they've accomplished it, they figured out how to press the button to do the thing, they start to move on from that toy. They can't find another way to use it. So then you have a lot of parents wondering why their kids are not engaged in independent play and purchasing even more fixed toys that they figure out, leave behind, and are done with, when this whole time they could have just focused a little bit more on providing the resources that seem maybe a little bit more boring on paper for open-ended play and watch their child unlock a whole world of possibilities with it. As you can see, I am very passionate about open-ended play. Moving on. My next piece of advice is to purchase with other siblings in mind. This isn't to say that you should not lean into the individuality and the interests of your specific child that you are purchasing for. I will get to that, but I do think that there is something to be said about purchasing something with the versatility of that toy in mind and also the longevity of that toy in mind. Let me give you an example of this. Last Christmas, my 8-month-old didn't really need any Christmas presents. It didn't make a whole lot of sense for me to be adding a lot under the tree for her because she wasn't really aware of what was happening on Christmas Day. That being said, I did get her one gift that was kind of like her big gift, and I had all of the other kids in our family in mind with that gift because I knew it was something that everybody could play with. I gave her a Grimm's wooden rainbow because I had seen so many people talk about the versatility of that toy, the way that it could be used to actually stack up like a rainbow or to make marble runs, to create little homes, or to create roads for cars. I also knew that as a wooden toy that was well made, that toy would have longevity and it wouldn't just be for her, but that it would be something that our kids could play with for years. All that I'm saying is that per individual child in your family, there doesn't need to be that many toys. There is research that points to the reality that 44% of children only play with 5 to 10 toys at any given time. And so if you start building these huge toy collections that none of your other kids are interested in, you just end up storing a lot of toys and not having a whole lot of overlap of the play that could be happening if you consider purchasing toys that everyone can find a way to play with. And for parents who are at the beginning stages of raising kids, which I think a lot of people who are watching my channel are, you might have a baby right now, you may have a young toddler, you may even just have a child that is under the age of 5. I would consider this to be the beginning stages of play and of parenting in your home, especially if you are going to be adding more children into into the mix over the next few years. And so I would highly recommend focusing on the longevity of the toys that you purchase. Don't just get the things that are plasticky or are gonna fall apart and end up in the thrift store or the landfill. Try and focus on quality over quantity. Get the stuff that you know that if you have a baby right now, the baby that you might have 5 years from now may also be interested in playing with and will still be in great condition. On the other side of this, I do also think it's important to use Christmas as an opportunity to get gifts that encourage kids in their individual passions or interests. Instead of getting your kids something that is just on the trending list, what would it do for them in the future if you got something that actually encouraged them in a skill that they're interested in developing or an inherent talent or interest that they seem to already have? For example, one of my children is very into drawing and into art and into painting. And so last year we ended up getting that child a full watercolor set that we are still seeing that child use on a weekly basis a year later. Another example of this is that I have another child who is incredibly musical. And we noticed that in this child when they were even still a baby. Every single year I have given them a gift that helps to develop that passion in them, something that helps to encourage this musicality and teach new skills that I'm hoping will be something they can track with into the rest of their childhood and maybe even still be pursuing when they're a teenager or an adult. So what is it that your kid seems to love? Do they get really excited every time they have an opportunity to make a craft or to color? Do they really love building things or having some sort of project or something that they can make with their hands? Maybe they're also really musical and an instrument would be a great gift for them. Maybe they love animals and what you want to get them this year is a season's pass to the zoo. I just think that as parents, we're in a unique position where we can actually call out some of those giftings in our kids and use Christmas as an opportunity to help them find and follow what their passions are going to be throughout their lives. And my final piece of advice as I de-influence you in your Christmas shopping this year is to not buy anything that you are going to hate yourself for buying in the future. I'm talking about the toys that just send you over the edge when they are constantly making the same sound or repeating the same phrase and you just wish that you had never purchased them. Toys that are bulky and just take up way too much of a footprint in your home. Hello, why I still have not bought a nugget couch. Even though I know people say how great they are, I just can't get myself to lose that kind of footprint in our home at this stage. Or simply just the things that you'll have to find a home for that your kids are honestly just never gonna use. I think we have to remember at Christmas every year that although we want to see our kids happy and enjoy the gifts that we give them, that we are still the gatekeepers of everything that comes into our homes. We have the opportunity to be very intentional about the toys that we purchase, and in our home, I try to be very minimal with those purchases as well. And ultimately, if there are toys in our home that our kids are not playing with, that we're really disliking cleaning up and are just taking up space, a lot of the time I made the decision at some point to bring them in, and I could have just either not made that decision or made the decision to take them out. One thing to note here, because it does need to be talked about and comes up every year, is that yes, it can be very tricky to navigate purchases from family members of things that maybe you wish really did not come into your home. And I have a few things to say on this subject. First thing is that only you know the relationship and only you know whether there is room for you to actually clarify or give some helpful ideas or insights into what you would rather have purchased for your kids. But I know that I have some family members that are interested in hearing that. And so they will either ask me for it or saying something like, hey, there's absolutely no pressure, but if you were considering a Christmas gift for the kids this year, here are some things that they're really loving or are interested in right now. If there are people in your life who do prefer to go rogue and just get whatever they think the kids will like, I think it's important to model the reaction that you want your kids to give when they receive a gift and to receive it with gratitude. What you do with that toy when it comes back to your house is your business. I don't think that you need to feel guilty if you decide to donate it right away or to hang on to it for a little bit before donating it. But if it's a toy that is one of those fixed items, maybe it's got batteries, it lights up, you really just don't like having it in your house, odds are your kids are probably gonna get bored of it pretty soon too. So add it into the toy rotation, allow them to get bored of it naturally if you're concerned about them being upset about it missing. But I can almost guarantee that the rogue gift that you're crazy, but I'm sure very well-meaning aunt got for your kids will be something that they will get bored of eventually, and you can just simply donate when that time comes. So I hope that all of this was helpful for you guys as we head into another Christmas season. I don't know about you, but in the first few years of parenting, I honestly got a little bit anxious about the thought of a whole bunch of things coming into our home and knowing what things to prioritize and how to be intentional with it all. And I really do feel like a lot of these things, applying them in our own home and lives, has been what has helped us to handle Christmas gifts and Christmas shopping with wisdom. And I hope that it can do that for you guys this year as well. Again, it's my hope that this advice will help you to save your money, your time, your space in your home, and your sanity. And if any of you guys have any other tips of things that you implement in your home surrounding Christmas or gift giving, feel free to drop those down in the comments section. We can make that a resource for all of the moms that are watching this to help us approach Christmas with a lot of intentionality this year. So thank you so much again for watching. I wanted to remind you that if any of you are interested in checking out KiwiCo as a meaningful gift option this year, that I do have a link with them up here on the screen and down in the description box. Thank you again to KiwiCo for working with me on this video. And until my next video, happy Christmas shopping to those who have already started. I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.